So what is goodbye stigma? This idea of goodbye, farewell stigma. What are some of the core principles of the work that we've designed? First and foremost, we trust people to know when and if continuing a pregnancy is a right decision for them and for their family. Second, abortion is a common practice and a normal event in real people's lives. In fact, 1 in 4 women in this country will have an abortion in their lifetime. That surprises a lot of people. It's 1 in 4 people. Think about how many people you know personally and how abortion has touched them. Third, abortion is safe. In fact, it's one of the safest medical procedures that there is. But because of decades of shame-based messaging, misrepresentation in the media, and harmful policies that silence and suppress women's stories, abortion is dramatically stigmatized. And we know exactly what stigma does. It keeps us from thinking about abortion clearly, from understanding it, and from talking about it. And we know that because abortion is stigmatized, it's quite easy, in fact, particularly easy in some parts of our country, for politicians to pass legislation whose sole purpose is to restrict a woman's option for their own political gain. And they're doing that a lot these days. As I said, they're doing it so much, 300 restrictions since the beginning of the year. There's pending regulation all over this country that's censoring doctors from even mentioning an abortion as an option for their patients. Even in the last few weeks, you've probably heard, unfortunately so, blatant lies coming from the White House itself about executing babies after they're born, which is not abortion. It has nothing to do with abortion. It's infanticide. It doesn't happen. And harm like that to anyone, including a newborn, is not legal. The end. That's a huge, horrible, catastrophic lie, but it's calculated, very carefully calculated to produce outrage for those people that may choose to believe that or don't have enough truth to understand. And the other myths about abortion, what about those? It causes breast cancer or infertility, it's dangerous, it's unsafe. They're all rooted in misinformation intentionally. We're here today to talk about those big lies, those little lies, the myths, but most importantly, what we're going to do today is talk about the truth. All that bad information, all that confusion and silence, and the harmful laws that come from it, that does absolutely nothing to protect women or women's health or improve access to health care. The truth is, the reason those restrictions are passed and the reason that some politicians are so comfortable proposing things like banning abortion, 6 weeks, 72-hour waiting periods, or purposefully misleading the public about abortion later is because they're relying on stigma. They know the misinformation is out there. They know voters, people, humans will be confused. They'll be emotionally pulled in a particular direction. They won't understand. Because without the stigma, the real motives are clear. Their motives are to ban all abortion and to control women as a result, and to turn back the clock 50 years. And starting today, those of us in this room and the people that you're going to talk to after today are going to create a future where everyone can access safe and affordable abortion, regardless of who they are, where they come from, and whether or not they can afford it. We're going to increase empathy together and awareness of understanding of abortion. We're going to educate and empower one another to express ourselves on the issue of abortion. We're going to create a future where abortion providers and people who have abortions are safe and supported and they're heard, where all people can talk openly about abortion with sensitivity and with respect, even if they disagree or they choose not to have one themselves. We're going to talk about abortion in its full human setting: sex, sexuality, love, violence, privilege, class, race, school and work, gender roles, and the scarcity of excellent reproductive health care and accurate information about sex education in this country, because we don't teach our young people in our schools about these issues. We're going to acknowledge that although abortion has been legal in this country for 46 years, For many, many people in our country, it might as well not be. And that's due in very large part to the shame and the silence and the stigma that has promulgated harmful legislation, and we've allowed it for far too long. The real enemy of reproductive rights, it's really not just the anti-abortion activists or politicians they work to elect. It's actually the stigma and the shame and the issue that evokes in all of us, those who stay silent. That's what keeps the 1 in 4 women who have had abortions and their partners and their doctors and their parents and their friends and their support systems from standing up and from saying enough. And that's what you're all here to do today. So let's get started.